want to take a moment at the beginning of this video to let you know that as the Remnant, we are meeting the first Saturday of every month. So this Saturday, April 1st, will be that first Saturday again. This will be our 4th or 5th meeting. It's going to be in Centerview, Missouri at 401 South Walnut. We'll meet at 5, go live on YouTube at 6. If you feel like you are part of the Remnant, please consider joining us. If you can't make this meeting, make one of them. It's about meeting each other. It's about knowing each other so we're not scattered. Welcome to a series called The End of Times, where we're going through the book of Revelation verse by verse to see what it is we can expect to happen in the end times. And as we've gone through this book verse by verse, it's taken us about 3 years at this point, maybe 2, a little over 2. We're about 180, 190 episodes in, and we've reached that place where heaven and earth have been decreated, and the new heaven and the new earth comes about, the new Jerusalem, and that's what we're looking at. And John had been taken up in the Spirit to a high mountain where he was able to see these things by one of the angels that had the bowls of plagues. And what John sees is very significant. So we're going to kind of take apart these pieces of what heaven looks like to understand the meaning behind them. So we're just going to pick it up where we left off. Revelation 21, starting verse 9. Then one of the 7 angels who had the 7 bowls filled with the 7 last plagues came to me and talked with me, saying, "Come, I will show you the bride, the Lamb's wife." And he carried me away in the Spirit to a great and high mountain and showed me the great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God, having the glory of God. And her light was like a most precious stone, like a jasper stone, clear as crystal. Also she had a great and high wall with 12 gates, and 12 angels at the gates, and names written on them, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. 3 gates on the east, 3 gates on the north, 3 gates on the south, and 3 gates on the west. So we're going to take a little time and just talk about the gates, the walls. There's 4 walls. There's 3 gates on each wall. The number 12 is a very significant number. It's the number of perfection. 12 is not a random number. There's 12 gates. There's also 12 foundations. And there's 12 tribes of Israel. So each one of these gates has one of the names of the tribes of Israel. So we're going to take a moment and just talk about that for a bit, because the 12 tribes of Israel were ultimately the 12 sons of Jacob. Jacob, being a descendant of Abraham, received the blessing from his father Isaac, and his descendants were going to be the nation of Israel. And there's a very significant moment in time when Jacob, he wrestles with God. It's a very strange moment. So we're going to go to Genesis 32, starting in verse 24. Then Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until the breaking of day. Then when he saw that he did not prevail against him, he touched the socket of his hip. And the socket of Jacob's hip was out of joint as he wrestled with him. And he said, "Let me go, for the day breaks." But he said, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." So he said to him, "What is your name?" And he said, "Jacob." And he said, "Your name shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel, for you have struggled with God and with men and have prevailed." Now, this is the moment in time where the scoundrel piece of Jacob has turned into a godly piece of Jacob, because he always leaned. He knew the value of God's blessing. Now, he had 2 wives who were sisters, and the 12 tribes were essentially the children of those 2 sisters as well as both of their maids. So he had these 12 children with 4 different women, 2 wives and 2 maids. Those tribes are Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Issachar, Zebulun, Joseph, and Benjamin. So here you have 12 children from Jacob and 4 women. And ultimately these 12 children become the 12 tribes of Israel. Now, why would their names be on the gates? It's very significant for many reasons. The biggest being that Jesus Christ came from the descendants of Jacob, the descendants of Abraham, Isaac. Jesus Christ was a descendant of them. They were the chosen people. Out of them came God, who redeemed mankind. It's a very, very significant thing. The Israelites weren't necessarily magical or better than anybody else, but because of the act that Abraham did, being willing to sacrifice his only son because God told him to, because of that act, ultimately what you have is you have the chosen people. Because of that act in the heart of Abraham for God, God said, it is your descendants that are going to be blessed like this. It is your descendants that will bring forth the redemption of all of mankind. So God held accountability on them. And that accountability continues to this very day. Even after Jesus Christ has left, they're still God's people. But prior to Christ, the accountability, the laws of Moses, all those laws, the things that that we look at with those laws are crazy. Like you stone somebody to death if they commit adultery. You chop off their hands if they touch something, the wrong thing. You poke out their eye if they look at things. Like all those laws were meant not for us. Those laws were meant for a people that were held at a higher standard because God was coming from them and their lineage. So these tribes, these 12 tribes are very, very significant in the redemption of all of mankind, and the fact that we are there to look at this new Jerusalem really had to do with what took place on the backbone of the Israelites from Abraham on. Those 12 tribes, what they endured and how they endured and how they obeyed and how they disobeyed and how they warred and how they succeeded and lost, how they went off into captivity, how they've been released from captivity. All of that is because Jesus Christ was coming through them. So we have the redemption of mankind. We have this ability to enter in to this holy Jerusalem in the presence of a holy God, like literally be in his presence because of the backbone of the Israelites. If it was not for them, God would have chosen a different people group, and then it'd be them, their names on those gates. But it's not. This is the path that God chose. And it's a very, very significant thing that their name be on the gates, because everything that we're about to see, eternity, being present with God, being able to be intimate with him and look at him and him look back at us and not vaporize because of our sin. All of that is because of the backbone of the Israelites and everything that they endured to be God's chosen people. It's a very significant thing, and it's something that we definitely can't just glance over. Their names are written on the gates because you're entering into the thing that is done through them. That's why their names are on the gates, and it's very important we begin to not just see, their names are on the gates, and that's great. No, they're on the gates because there's no way you're getting in there without those people. You wouldn't, there'd be a different people, but then their names would be on the gates. But all of the suffrage and all the warring, all the captivity and enslavement that they have endured is because God shaped them and molded them into the people that will redeem mankind. That God, the Son of Man, comes through them. Jesus Christ. That is why this is so incredibly important. So we go back, Revelation 21:9. That one of the seven angels who had the seven bowls filled with the seven last plagues came to me and talked with me, saying, "Come, I will show you the bride, the Lamb's wife." And he carried me away in the Spirit to a great and high mountain and showed me the great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God, having the glory of God. And her light was like a most precious stone, like a jasper stone, clear as crystal. Also she had a great and high wall with 12 gates and 12 angels at the gates. The names were written on them, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. 3 gates on the east, 3 gates on the north, 3 gates on the south, and 3 gates on the west. Jesus Christ came through the Israelites. He was their descendant. And they are the chosen people. They're God's people because of this purpose. And this purpose only. But we wouldn't have redemption of mankind if not for the things that they endured. It's real important you see that. Very important you see it. So I hope this video helps. It's been a bit. We were on vacation, and God said, as the new heaven and new earth came about, to film at the sunrise in the water. And it's been really overcast a lot lately, so I finally got a chance to get some sunshine, so I came out here to film. So I hope these videos are helping. We're getting close to the end. Stay with us. If you like this video, click like and subscribe. Feel called to support this channel with Patreon, that link is below. But the most important part of this channel is we take prayer requests, so please don't ever hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, and love guns.